Hey guys, welcome back. If you've been following these videos, if you're just joining us at this video, then welcome. So far we've built an entire song here. It's Lofi Hip Hop genre, and the last thing that I'm gonna do at this point is just go through and create some, I don't know how else to call it, but people are calling it a tape stop effect. It's basically the sound it makes when you hit stop on a cassette tape or a reel-to-reel or even a record. If you just put your hand on it and stop the record, the pitch goes down and the record slows down to a stop, or the tape slows down to a stop all at once. There's a few different ways to create this effect, and I'll show you all three of them real quick, and then the last one will be the true way, and the way that I'll go with. So the first step would be to open up an audio track. It looks like I have one right here. Let's name this tape stop. So what I'm gonna do might seem like some sort of long, tedious process, but it's really not that bad. So I want to record basically everything onto this track right here. I basically just need to go through the tracks that I have, and I need to change the output for them to go to this tape stop channel. So this is the crackle, and I might as well rename things. If I didn't name the track, then I might as well rename it now. I should have done that the whole time. It really does make everything so much easier. Anyways, crackle effect, change master here to tape stop. The vocals I'm also gonna put to tape stop. Kick, tape stop, and then these snare, hats, tambourines, they're all running to top line bus. So really I only have to put top line bus to tape stop. The chopped sample is going to master, so we'll change that to tape stop. The thin pad, Rhodes, keys, all are going to melody bus, so we'll change melody bus to tape stop. High bass, low bass, both going to bass bus, so we'll change that to tape stop. And there's tape stop. Okay, so now what I want to do is just kind of give the song a listen and figure out where exactly I would want to put some of these effects. Don't forget, since you're routing everything to this track, to click the in button here. It's going to be set to off default. You need to click in, record arm it, so press that record button. So far, I don't want to put that effect anywhere here. So I'm thinking right here, right before it first goes into the little vocal thing. So what we'll do is come on down here to our tape stop track and select with the cursor where you want to begin recording. Once you select where you want to begin recording, which will be 31 here, I can even add a little marker for myself by hitting Control and then clicking or right clicking right there and select Add Locator, and I could just put effects 1, that'll be the first one, and hit record. One thing that I almost forgot, and this is important because in this track I have been running a reverb here on one of the send, have been running some of these tracks through that reverb. So whatever I record here is actually going to be completely dry if I don't remember to send my reverb channel into this tape stop channel as well. So here where it says master, just like we did with the other ones, we're going to send that to tape stop. Now I can go in and safely record.
for niggas don't know that I'm skinning with all of the scheme, man.
Okay, so let's try and figure out where else we want this. We could do it here. Or there. I don't know, so we did it. We're gonna do it over here right before this vocal. Instead of copying that and doing that over again, perhaps we should do that. Let's do it at the end of this one. Alright, there's a nice chunk, and we'll keep listening and try to decide where else we want to do this. I feel like the transition into this is good. Without that, it doesn't really need it. Possibly here. Yep, that would be awesome there. So let's come back a little ways. Alright, so we've got that recorded here. Okay, so I didn't really hear anything else stand out to me too much. There's a few different ways that I've seen people do this. One of the more obvious ways would be to use the pitch envelope on this audio here. So basically, if we are wanting to create the effect on this section here, what we would do is isolate it on its own. What I like to do, you could do it a couple ways. You could just trim off the fat and leave what you want. Or another way to do it would just be to select what you want and then hit Command E, and then that separates it. And you can just get rid of this stuff however you want to do it. So anyways, you just isolate that on its own, and then everything that this is going to take the place of, you're going to select it and then delete it. So in theory, when we listen back to this, it should play right through as if nothing's happening. Now, before we do that, we have to change the outputs of all these channels back to the master again. So we'll start here with our reverb, put that back to master, and everything that we have that says tape stop on it, we got to put back to master. Alright, so let's listen back and make sure that this plays appropriately how it's supposed to. So you could hear the clip happen. What I want to do is just check the fades. So as I suspected, there's no fade. You want to zoom in real good and just put a tiny little fade on there. So what a lot of people would do would be to come here and select transposition modulation. And now with that, you can adjust the pitch. Something like that. Or make it a little bit more abrupt. So, you know, that sounds okay. You're missing now this little piece, but you know, you could do something like that. But, you know, to me that still doesn't sound right. And part of the reason for that is because this is warped, so even though I am dropping the pitch down on it, it's not slowing it down. And if you think about the way it actually works when you push the stop button or you put your hand on the record and stop it, you are indeed slowing it down when it right before it comes to a stop. It's slowing down a little bit. That's what's actually creating the pitch drop, is because the track itself is slowing down. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't like that. It is a quick little way to do it though. The other thing I've seen would be with a delay. So if you take a simple delay, you put it on here, and then you would have to hit the sync button so that you can adjust the milliseconds, and then you have to change the mode of the delay so it comes as fade in fade mode. You have to change it to repitch. This will actually change the pitch of the audio when you adjust the time of the delay. Alright, so let's give this a listen. So that also does a speeding up, as you can see. And you could do something like, you know, chop off a part. You would also need to automate this as well. So, you know, you just adjust. So, that's another way to do it. Neither of those are my favorite. The one that I like to do is a little bit more involved, but in my opinion, definitely worth it. You're going to want to open a MIDI track. Shift Command T gets you a new MIDI track. And then we're going to go to Instruments and grab a sampler. So put the sampler on there. And now we need to determine exactly where we're going to have this effect happen. And it's probably going to be at the very end, like we were doing with the delay just now when we were creating that effect with the delay. So it's okay to use this entire piece here. I do want that fade to be incorporated in. So there's a couple ways I could do that. I could either consolidate this piece of audio, so that way when I drag it into the sampler, it will include that fade. Or we can just go into the global control here and just adjust the attack time. Put a little bit of attack on there and it'll give you the same exact effect as using a fade. So I'll just use that technique. So drop that in, and now I want to create a MIDI clip that's the exact length of this audio clip that we just used. So I'm going to highlight there and hit Shift Command M. That gives us our MIDI clip. Double click on that, and C3 is going to be your MIDI note. That will play this sample back in the exact pitch and therefore speed as the original. If you don't, and you put it anywhere else along the piano roll, then you'll find that this sample will play back at a different pitch than the original. So now we've put this piece of audio into the sampler, so we can now mute this track, or we can deactivate this audio clip. I believe the command for that is 0. Yeah, so if you just select it and hit 0, that will activate or deactivate that clip. Sometimes that's better to do than muting, because we are going to need to hear the track again over here. So, alright, so let's go to our MIDI track and go to our sampler. Now, the first thing we want to do is check on our global and filter settings. We don't want to use a filter, so I'm just going to turn that off. And then over here, you have to make sure that your global settings are set correctly. Right now, it does have this release on here. What that means is after the MIDI note has ended here, it will continue playing a little bit of the tail end of what comes after. Now, we don't want that because we have the rest of our track starting here anyways. Okay, so I'm going to bring that release to all the way over or all the way down. You can use this part, or you can use the actual little line graph. Make sure loop is off. Voices, you really only need one, and velocity needs to be turned all the way down. And very important, you need to have the volume here turned up to 0. 0 is the nominal level for this. If you were to leave it there, it would be much quieter, 12 dBs exactly below where everything else is. So now you just want to check back by giving it a listen and make sure it plays smoothly. And lo and behold, I do hear a little tiny clip in there when this starts. So we are going to do what I was talking about earlier and adjust the attack time. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is come over here to the MIDI tab. It's the last tab, and where it says pitch bend range, it's set to +5 semitones. We need to crank that all the way up to +24, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, so we'll double click on the MIDI clip, and that brings us down here to our piano roll and where we can adjust the envelope. Click on that, and it already has pitch bend selected. In the same way that we were able to modulate the transposition of the audio clip up here, we can change the pitch bend of the sample as it plays. This will not only change the pitch of the sample, but because it's playing in a sampler, when the pitch changes, the speed of it also changes. So this will give us an exact sound as a tape or record speeding up or slowing down. Alright, so now we can just listen back and kind of mess around with it.
They know me as Derrick. Know me as Derrick.
So as you can see, much more accurate sounding stop effect. Now the cool thing is you can play around with this a whole bunch. You can make it go up and down and all over the place. So
Know me as Derrick. Know me as Derrick. Know me as
you
Derrick.
can mess with it throughout the whole entire sample if you want.
Know me as Derrick.
Also, I notice it sounds a lot better if you remove just a hair, the bit of the end off.
Know me as Derrick. Know me as Derrick. They know me
I mean, that just sounds ridiculous. So we won't get all crazy like that, but
They know me as Derek. 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 They know me as Derek.
also when you're moving this around, it's hard to, sometimes get it exactly where you want to get it back on 0, for instance. So if you hold down the command button while you move these points around, then you get a much finer control over it. Another thing that you can do is hold down the Alt key or Option, and when you have the blue angled line selected, it gives you this little tool here, and that allows you to create curves. These curved lines definitely come in handy. Let's see what we could do here.
They know me as Derek. They know me as Derek.
Sounds kind of cool.
They know me as Derek. They know me as Derek. Niggas don't know that I'm getting with under the scheme, man.
So at the moment, I'm happy with that.
They know me as Derek. Niggas don't know that I'm getting with under the scheme, man.
Alright, so I wasn't planning on having this video go this long. I'm going to end it here because from this point on, all I really have to do is continue this process on the other 2 places in this track where I wanted the effect to happen. Believe it or not, this is actually the end. The last thing that I do is basically bounce this track out onto the 4-track cassette deck and get a little tape hiss from that. Do a little EQ on that, and also play with the pitch knob ever so slightly to kind of give it a little old warbly type of effect. I think I'll make a quick video just showing that process, and that'd be it. So thanks to everybody for watching this, and I hope you guys got something out of this one. Hope you guys got something out of all of them, and please be sure to like and share and comment below and subscribe to the channel for more tutorials and updates and original content. Thanks guys.